Hi, thanks so much for joining me today. We are playing with some Tom Ford items, so if you'd like to see that, please keep watching. Thank you so much again for joining me. This is a shop your stash kind of video that was your idea, so thank you so much for the video ideas. Keep them coming. It helps me create content. I am not purchasing as much right now as in the past, so you will see items that you have maybe seen before or some things that I haven't really played around with yet on camera. Maybe you saw it in a haul or something and I never circled back to it, so those are things you might be seeing more of. So I appreciate the idea of a shop your stash because I think that's a really great way to maximize the resources that we have now. I think just in general, that's what we're trying to do. So if you follow me on Instagram, you might see or follow that I've been trying to maximize other resources like food and things like that, and just showing you how I'm making sure to make the most of everything. So I feel like shopping your stash is making the most of what I have. Love that idea, so thank you. So what we're doing today is focusing on Tom Ford. Some of the items are things you've seen before, and some, or at least one, is one you haven't seen in motion yet. So I thought I'd put this look together. My hair looks okay. It's starting to grow out of my roots, but I have a little bit of root spray, but that's one of the reasons I'm kind of chopping my head off there. I don't know what it looks like in the back. So I thought we'd just play with makeup today, take a little break, and relax just a little bit. So if you'd like to see how this look came together, please keep watching. I thought we would start with this. I don't have a Tom Ford primer, I don't think, but I have this Clé de Peau, so we'll use that. It's got SPF 21. And I think I've used this on camera before, but you can kind of see what it does in terms of just illuminating the skin a little bit. Not too much, it's not shimmery or anything like that, but it definitely gives a nice glow to the skin. So you can see the difference. It reflects light just a little bit compared to the side without. Very, very subtle. Let's go ahead and it's moisturizing as well. It's not heavy, but it is moisturizing, so I do like that about it. And even though this is small, it's 30 ml or 1 ounce, it does last quite a bit. I don't use it every day though, but it does last quite a bit. Let's go ahead in with the foundation. I was using the Tom Ford waterproof foundation for the summer. I also love this one. It's the Traceless Vanish Stick, and I have mine in 7 Tawny. And this is a great one for all year round. And I'm just gonna show you what it looks like on one side of my face. I'm going to try to remember to do that so that you can see really what one side looks like compared to the other. I think that gives a really good reference point to the amount of coverage and the color match as well. This is one of the better color matches. Not too warm, not too cool. So as I'm doing this, I was just curious, and I don't know how many of you follow me on Instagram as well, but I did post something on there that I thought might help people who are feeling a bit anxious. I know that it's very easy to, especially with all the news. Okay, so here's half. Pretty good, huh? So one of the things that you can do that I posted on there is to focus it on how you can help. So there are lots of ways that you can help people even though you are inside. One of the main things I think is staying in. I was watching the Honest Beauty review, and I posted this on my Instagram too. She's an RN in a NICU, so she works with little babies, but she was just reminding everybody that there were lots of questions on how to support healthcare professionals and really staying home. And even though we're at home, it might not feel like we're doing much at home, but really making sure we're not spreading anything, even if we are not showing symptoms, because what we need to do is make sure our healthcare professionals are healthy so that they can do their jobs. So I think that's huge. So just know that staying home does make a big difference. Another thing that I've mentioned, and I'll leave it again in the description box below, is I know a lot of creators make a living off of YouTube, and their channels rely on views and such. So go ahead and look below. I'll leave all the details on how you can help your favorite YouTube creators during this time, because I know many of them are challenged right now in terms of their income and kind of what they're making off of YouTube. So there are simple ways that we can help. It just takes a little bit more of our time. They might be things you already do, but in case you didn't know, you can take a look below and see there are a few things, extra things you can do. So thank you for staying in and for taking a look in the description box. And thank you for everything else that you're doing. And I know there are so many other things that we can be doing to help. And I know that you are doing those things. So if you have some ideas or things that you think that we could help with from where we are inside, please let us know so that we can also contribute. That would be really, it would be great if you could share those things. I am going in, with the Tom Ford Emotion Proof Concealer. I am putting it under my eyes just so you can see what it looks like. I don't typically use this under my eyes, and I don't think I went in with Color Science this morning. So you can see it's kind of like a thinner consistency. I have this in 90 Sienna. It is a thinner consistency, so it's not thick or anything like that. But I thought I would just show it to you under the eye in case you were wondering. I think if you have a dry under eye area, you probably won't like this on there because it does set down pretty well. But I do like it for this area, especially in the summer when it starts to get warmer. And one of you said you realized I'm not putting on as much in terms of color correcting. In fact, if you notice, I just skipped it altogether because I don't really need it, which is huge. So I will be sharing some skincare things that I'm using in about a couple weeks, just so you can see what's been working on my skin. Because if you've been here a while, you know how much color correcting I've had to do in the past and how much I've kind of invested in color correcting. So to get to this point where I don't really need it as an extra step is pretty good. It does oxidize. I've said that before, that the color that you see in here is not the color that you get once you apply it. And it reminds me a lot of the waterproof foundation concealer that they used to have. They no longer carry that. And I believe the ingredients are very similar. Okay, so here we are. Concealed, not concealed. There's a big difference. Wow, my under eye area looks very red today. So I think because also I'm not sleeping the greatest these days. So that might have something to do with this. I'm just gonna finish this side and then we will continue. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take care of powder and eyebrows off camera. Powdered, of course, I put Charlotte Tilbury under the eyes, Chantecaille all over the face, and then, what else did I do? Oh yeah, I used the new Grwm contour powder that I have as kind of a bronzer. So I've got all of that on. I also put a little bit of bronzer here. Now, I realized as I was looking in the mirror that this concealer is not one of the ones that you can build up really well. It does much better when it's a nice thin layer. So if you need a lot of coverage, you might need to use a color corrector. This is one of those concealers that's the more you add, the worse it looks. It looks better if it's a thin layer. So if you do need to go in and get some coverage on there, you might need a color corrector. Yeah, I can see that it needs a little bit of help. So this is how we're gonna help it. First of all, I put a little bit of the bronzer here, or the contour powder here. Even though it's a contour powder, I still used it as a bronzer. But I am going to go in with my Project Pan Hourglass palette with the blushes. This is how also to correct a little bit if you just need just a touch of correction, but you don't want to put the layers on. I still do love the Charlotte Tilbury color corrector, but if you've powdered and you realize you still need a little bit more, just blush here is fine because it acts as a color corrector of sorts depending on the shade that you pick. Also, this one has a little bit of illumination without being too shimmery that it brings about texture. So if you have texture here, this one's okay to add on. It's kind of hard to find blushes like that that have a little bit of that reflective quality without bringing about texture. Oh, I did eyebrows too. They got kind of out of control today, so that's what happens sometimes. But I was thinking as I was doing my powder that really for me, it's a form of meditation, putting on makeup. It always has been. It's one of those things, if you've ever read Daniel Pink's book called Drive, it's a really good one. It's not that new. Oh, that's an interesting like line I'm seeing there. But it talks about something called flow, where it's an activity that you participate in and you kind of lose track of time. And makeup is one of those things. Doing my own makeup is one of those times when I just really enjoy it and lose track of time, so to speak. And all of those things that I worry about kind of fade away while I'm doing this. So that is one reason. It's like, you know, some with painting, that's a form of a meditative type activity. So for me, this is my form of meditation. Also, I've been practicing piano more, so that is a form of meditation, but I don't think you would like to hear me practicing my piano. I did promise on Instagram I would play and sing. I sing a little bit, that I would do that on Instagram. We don't want to put that on YouTube though. So maybe like an Instagram story might be kind of fun. Let me know what you're doing to meditate and to kind of center yourself during this time. I'd love to know some other things. I actually just read an article about it, about how I noticed a lot of people are baking, including me. If you saw my Instagram stories, I baked some brownies and made a big mistake. Well, not a big mistake. I put in baking soda instead of baking powder and ended up with like a brownie cake instead of brownies, but that's okay. But that's a form of like meditation and self-care and self-soothing kinds of activities. So I'd love to know what you're doing, because I'm always looking for new ideas, but I feel like those kinds of things take our minds off of what's going on. Also, cleaning was on that list, a repetitive kind of activity, and I've been cleaning a lot. So all of the things I read in this article was like baking, cleaning, and self-care, which is pretty much what I've been doing. Also, putting on a lot of blush. Okay, that's what happens when I'm talking and doing makeup. I'm not really paying attention, but that is a very interesting line. I don't know what that is. Okay, just a little bit of color correcting and blush at the same time. So that's another way you can combat that. Let's go ahead and put on eyeshadow, but I don't have any brushes, so let me go get my brushes. I've got my brushes and I want to go in with this one in For Suspicion. This one right here. I haven't used this on camera yet, so we're going to kind of do this together, but let's go in with this lightest color first, and I'm just going to place that on my eyelid. And I also wanted to try these wet, so let's play a little bit. What should we try? Let's try this one or this one. Let's try that one as a wet shadow. Okay, oh, I just put my brush in the water, so I feel like from this point on, okay, so it's making a little bit of a paste. From this point on, I don't know if I can use anything but wet shadows, but this is like, wow. That's very pretty. Let's put on the other eye. I really have no plan here. I just wanted to play with the makeup with you. Oh, sorry, I'm taking this deeper color now and just putting that kind of in the outer V area. It's not the best brush for that, but I'm just gonna set it down for that, with that. I wanted to try one of the eyeliners I haven't tried from Chanel with you as well, and see if we can get it to work with this. Let's go in with this color right here. We'll take this more muted color, and I'm going to go under the eye with that. I'm dampening another brush. This is Ray Morris. It's a 9.1. I'm going to try to remember to mention these as I go because some people have questions about them. I do love the Ray Morris brushes simply because they have some really unique shades. So that really darkened up quite a bit with water. Yeah, these have some really unique shades to them. These have some really unique shapes, the Ray Morris brushes, that I haven't seen in other lines, which is why I'm drawn to them so much, because that's pretty. Just because I feel like they're very purposeful in their design. I think I want to try this lighter color right here in the, in the inner corner. see if I can clean this brush up a little bit. I have a little towel here, and I'm going to use that wet as well. That's this color right here that I'm taking. These are really pretty as wet shadows. They work really nicely. Sometimes if you add water, they can be kind of patchy, but I'm not getting that from this. At least from the shades I'm using right here. Next, let's play with some eyeliners. Okay, this is not new. Let's go in with the espresso. Then I want to go on the bottom with teal. So let's just go ahead and line really quickly. Okay, next, let's go in with this teal. Is this it? Yeah, intense teal. I want to go in the waterline with this. I love this teal color with that copper up there. Let's smudge it out just a little bit here. I think I mentioned before that this one, as beautiful as it is, smudges a little. So let's smudge it for it so it's not smudging on its own, and see if that helps. Because sometimes when it smudges, if you actually smudge it on purpose, then it works better than trying to limit it to a certain area. This is a tricky part here. I might powder a little bit more right here and see how that goes. But yeah, ooh, that's really nice. So of course, mascara will change a lot. So I'm going to put the mascara on, and also, oh, I forgot to mention, I did put a little lip balm on, the Emile Cordon. I don't remember the shade, but I'll put a little image here and list it below. But my lips were just so chapped, so I'm gonna do the mascara and be back. Okay, almost done here. I did, of course, go in with the Dior 3D Maximizer Primer, the By Terry mascara, the twist one. I can never remember the name. And then also the Chanel in that brown color. So that's kind of what's layered on there. I'm going to go in with one of my favorite Tom Ford lipsticks. Actually, I'm going to use 3 lip products. So this is an Indian Rose. This one is one of their best sellers. This one does tend to pull a little bit cool on me. And then I'm going to go in with Sable Smoke. This one I'm just going to place in the center. I think it just lends a little bit of dimension to the lips without being so obvious. I'm gonna go in with my favorite lip gloss. This is by Tom Ford. It is in 06 Ravish. And I'm just gonna place that mostly in the center here, not all over. And that's it for the look. Just a quick rundown. I love the foundation. It is a really great color match and is very seamless going on. I love it because it's buildable, but it feels like nothing on the skin, which I really appreciate. I don't like the feeling of foundation on my skin, so that's a really nice one if you are like me and don't like to feel makeup on your face. The concealer is nice for a thin layer. So if you need a lot of concealer, you might want to use a color corrector with this one. It doesn't layer well if you put multiple layers on. It will affect the color a little bit more than, say, the Clé de Peau. Under the eyes, let me just look. I placed it under there just to see. It's doing okay. Yeah, it's doing okay. So I'll continue to watch it, but I just know that this is a waterproof, so it is a little bit more dry than other concealers I've used. But I don't usually put under my eyes, but I'll watch and give you some notes. The eyeshadow is beautiful. So if you're looking for something with a little bit of metallic, but not so chunky in terms of the reflective particles. This one is very beautiful, and I loved it as a wet eyeshadow as well. Tom Ford lipsticks, you can't go wrong with them. They are a little bit more expensive. I love Indian Rose, I love Sable Smoke, and then the lip gloss I love. So that is today's look. Again, if you have other ideas of what we can be doing to contribute from where we are at home, I'd love to know what those things are. Please list them below so we can also participate and do what we can do to help. Thanks again for staying home and keeping everyone safe and healthy. I hope that you and your families are well. And if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks.